Hello and welcome to day 2 of a Play Sheet Podcast's team breakdowns for the 2021 NFL Draft. Now, the folly of trying to analyse teams from 2 weeks out was on show yesterday. Hours after I suggested the Cardinals may be looking for a running back, perhaps in round 2, they went and picked up free agent James Conner. Now, that's not to say they won't still target running back, but it just goes to show there's still a lot of moving parts and uncertainty. But we're going to do our best to try to cut through that and give you the best idea of what the teams might be up to on the night. So today we're going to start off with the Buffalo Bills. Now the Buffalo Bills have 7 picks going into this year's draft. They have the 30th, 61st and 94th overall. That's in the first, second and third round respectively. They have no 4th round pick, but they do have 2 5th round selections, a 6th and a 7th. Now the Bills traded their 4th round pick to the Vikings. That was part of a Stephon Diggs trade at the start of 2020. They acquired the additional 5th round pick from the Raiders. That was back in 2019 when they sent Zay Jones to the Raiders. They don't have their original 7th round pick. That's gone to the Browns. But the 7th round pick they do have is from the Panthers. This again is from a while back. It's from a Marshall Newhouse trade which happened in 2018. Marshall Newhouse has since gone on to play for 3 other teams, which I guess just goes to show the long-term draft strategy the Bills are looking at when they're making these trades. Now the Bills are coming off a very good season, which is why they're picking the lowest of any team that wasn't in Super Bowl. And as you'd expect with a team that's performed so well, they don't have too many glaring holes in their roster. A lot of work has already been done in free agency. The re-signing of linebacker Matt Milano was probably the biggest priority for them, while on the other side of the ball, the retention of tackle Darrell Williams gives them continuity in the offensive line. Looking at the Bills roster, tight end probably stands out as the weakest position. Dawson Knox was the starter last year, and in free agency this year they've brought on Jacob Hollister. Neither player has impressed too much throughout their career so far. However, it is very unlikely the Bills will address the position early or at all in this year's draft. Once you take Kyle Pitts out of the equation, and Kyle Pitts is out of the equation for the Bills, being a top 10 prospect, probably top 5 pick overall, the talent trails off very quickly. You'd struggle to name more than a handful of tight end prospects in this year's draft. Pat Frymouth, Tommy Trimble, those guys are both likely to go end of second round at best, maybe start of third. So it's likely the Bills will look elsewhere in the early rounds of this year's draft. So aside from a tight end position, the Bills will be looking for depth rather than upgrade at most positions. All things considered, it's probably likely that they look for a pass rusher in the first 2 rounds of this year's draft. Starter Jerry Hughes is in his 30s. Mario Addison is 33. Neither guys have youth on their side. Now, the Bills did draft AJ Epineza in the second round of the 2020 draft, but I think it certainly wouldn't harm their prospects to look for another medium-term solution at defensive end for the team. At 30th overall, it's not impossible that a player like Jason Ower could be available for them. Cornerback depth has also been mentioned for the Bills. While Tre'Davious White is a lockdown corner for them, the other starter is less certain. They signed Levi Wallace in free agency to a short 1-year contract, but after him you're looking at last year's 7th round selection Dane Jackson next up on the depth chart. It would not surprise me if the Bills took a cornerback in the 2nd round of this year's draft, primarily because at the end of the 1st round where they are selecting, there's not too much value at the cornerback position. If the Bills did look for a cornerback at the end of the 2nd round, a player like Ifeatu Melifonwu or Aaron Robinson may be available to them. Finally, running back. It's been a position that hasn't particularly impressed over the last season for the Bills. The team spent 3rd round selections on Devin White in 2019 and Zach Moss in 2020. And if the Bills don't see a pass rusher or cornerback that they like at the end of the 1st round, and a player like Najee Harris or Travius Etienne is on the board, it could be very tempting for him to go for a running back. That would be an admission of failure of a running back draft strategy over the last 2 years though, so I think that's probably less likely than them looking for a pass rusher or a cornerback. That's the Bills.